So in this tutorial we are going to be creating a control rig using the modular control rig, which is essentially a quality of life streamlined version of how we can create control rigs now in Unreal Engine, making it much easier than it was before. And this allows us to have control over our character and make sure that it conforms in certain ways when we're moving it around in certain ways when IK is coming into play, to make sure that everything looks normal and natural. So we'll be going through how to set up one of these very quickly, and then we'll be talking a little bit of how it works and how it will probably work in the future. So let's check it out. So here we are inside of Unreal Engine 5.4 preview, and this is a third-person project. So inside of here I have created a control rig folder, and let's create this modular control rig now. So how to do this is we right-click, we go to animation, we go to control rig, and we click control rig. Here we now have a new option, which is the modular control rig, so we'll choose that one. We can call it MCR Anubis, because I have a Anubis-like character that I'm going to be demonstrating today. So clicking this up, we can get inside of the editor for this immediately. And this is what it looks like, and we'll go through the different parts as they are needed. First off, we want to go to our preview scene. Inside of here, we want to choose a mesh for us to make use of. In this case, I'm going to be using my Ancient Warrior, which is looking like this. So it's set in a T-pose here currently, and we already get a gizmo over here for translating the character around if we wanted to. Actually, that's not the gizmo, this is the gizmo. And yeah, what we get to start with is this little object in the middle here. This is called a socket, and a socket has two states. It can either be filled or not filled, or equipped or unequipped, rather how you want to see it. Hovering over it, you can see that it says it wants us to drag and drop a spine module here. A module is an asset that we have available to us on the left hand side over here. You can see we have a bunch of different modules here. So these are essentially what we make use of. So we can, in this case it wanted a spine module, so we can just drag and drop a spine module here. What happens is that the center gets filled in this case, because it's the spine that gets two circles inside of it. But we also get some connected bones, in this case the spine 3 and the pelvis over here. They also get handled. So this is essentially, first I'm going to go through how you create one of these modular ones, and then we'll go through it in details a little bit more. So we can see here we want to have leg modules in these ones, so we'll just get leg modules. Hover over it. When the circle goes small, then you know that that's the circle that's actually the active one that we will be dropping things in. In the bottom it wants to have foot modules, so we'll drag foot modules over there, and like so. And on the top here we want a neck module, so we'll get a neck module. Everything is very drag and drop easy so far, right? So everything is super easy. And regularly when we can create control rigs, there was a lot of steps to actually configure it properly. But now with this new modular control rig, it actually becomes very, very easy. So in this case, now I actually have created the control rig here. I have the fingers left. I'm choosing to skip those because they're not that necessary for this specific part. But yeah, now we actually have our control rig ready, and we could actually make use of it already if we wanted to, if we just compile and save, like a normal control rig. So we could make use of it to alternate animations, create new animations, use them in sequencer, things like that, right? So what is actually going on here then? Well, when we put these modules in, and you saw that we actually got a lot of guidance with what modules to put in, and I do believe that this is, from my testing so far at least, depends on what kind of a skeleton that you're making use of. If it's something that Unreal Engine recognizes, it will sort of help you along. And my prediction is that in future versions of this quality of life rig setup, we won't actually be having to put in the modules itself. Since it's already telling us what modules to put in there, it could essentially do it by itself, right? So in the future, we'll probably just have a create a modular control rig of this character, and bam, all of this stuff is done. What we get here by default is we get a lot of controls, and these are the controls that we can make use of to, for example, twist our different joints around, like the the head, the arms, the shoulders, everything like that. We can manipulate the character. But in addition to that, we also got a few gizmos. Might not be super easy to see here, but we have a red gizmo here, and we have a blue gizmo on the other foot. So what the control rig is doing is, by default it's set up, and you can see this along the arms as well, that the left hand side will be marked blue, so all the controls will be marked blue for left side and red for right side, and so you can distinguish that on these gizmos as well. So these gizmos here, they work with IK, so you can essentially move these around and see what kind of effect it would have on your skeleton based on how the other parts are set up. In this case, we have a bunch of different modules that have created the rig hierarchy like the character is created, but we also have, for example, this little control over here which says where the knee is supposed to be pointing at when we're manipulating the character. There are additional controls that you can create as well. So you have over here in the left, we have our module hierarchy, and when we created in my previous tutorial on control rigs, which is very old, we created gizmos for hands as well. In this case, you can actually go and click on arm, go to your details, and you can scroll down and you can see that we have an FK-IK default, so forward kinematics, inverse kinematics default. Clicking that in will give us a gizmo over here, which allows us to manipulate this hand as well, like we do with the feet, for example. And this one as well, even though it has created it a little bit close, also have a control that's handling the orientation for how it wants the elbow to conform when we move it around. So this gizmo we got initially with the pelvis also, we can move around and you can see that based on the anchor points that we have created with these gizmos, we can see that the character will behave in such a way where it tries to conform the skeleton in a natural way that allows the bones to bend in ways according to how it is set up, essentially. So yeah, that's how you create one of these, and that is how it works. And based from here, you can just use it as any other control rig, essentially. What I've found is that also you had a rig hierarchy here. If you wanted to check that out, you can see all of the different parts that have been created. In addition to this, there are also, let's see if I can get this down a little bit. You can see that we've used some of these, but not all of these. We have an add control, we have a chain control, we have a piston control. Sorry, module. I'm using the wrong semantics here. I tried to play around a little bit with some non-bipedal, because the bipedal characters seem to be working really well. You get a lot of guidance on how to put the modules in and stuff like that. And I think that's dependent on what kind of a skeleton you're putting in. But if you use something like a quadruped or something like that, something that doesn't conform to the normal skeletons, then you probably have to set it up differently, and those were not as easily handled with the modules. So I'm not sure if I missed something there or not, or if it's just because it's very early, but hopefully that will be made easier and work better in future versions as well. Anyway, that's going to be all for now. Keep on learning. Take care. A big thank you to all of you who like, comment, subscribe and share my videos, or through other means support this channel. You are what makes this channel grow and become a resource for other people to learn from.